How's it going, guys? It is Dockers and welcome back to another Mavrix video. So back in August I did a video on the racing basics and how you can climb these leaderboards. Now since there's been a few updates since then and we've now had the console release, I thought I would do that video again. So we're going to be going over all the simple controls and then we are going to be hitting the track to show you exactly what we are doing. Let's get it. Okay, so we are currently up at the RV. I've just spotted NSR, the Dombro has just spawned in, which is awesome. So we'll hopefully get some riding with him later. But we're going to be talking about pedal and pedal boosting. So I have set a flag in the corner of the car park and I'm going to ride off the edge, down the road and then back up the hill, and I'm going to explain to you the speeds and what pedal boosting actually does. So if I was just to hold my pedal button, you can see as I hit the edge of the car park, I'm at 45 kilometers an hour. Downhill, we get up to 57. And then as we start our climb, we're going to be at 52. And that is as fast as we're going to get. You can see our guy is constantly pedaling. Even on this where it's slightly flatter, we're not going to gain speed until we start on a slight downhill slope. Now, pedal boosting works when you are under 60 kilometers an hour. If you are over 60 kilometers an hour, it won't do anything. You'll actually stop pedaling for a brief second and there's a possibility you will lose a bit of speed. So if you are under 60 kilometers an hour, you want to be double tapping, pedal boosting, and then after a few seconds it will deactivate, then you can reactivate it once again. So I'm going to do this again. So we hit 45 first time, we hit 50 this time, give it a second, double tap. You can see we're up to just over 60, and then when we start our hill climb, double tap again, we're at 59, give it a couple of seconds, double tap, we're up to 59 again. And you can see the character actually stops pedaling and starts to coast because you're up at that high speed. That is when pedal boosting stops working. Okay, so always remember, if you're in a race run and you're on flats or anything like that, flat sections, if you hit under 60, double tap, keep that speed up. Right, let's move on to a downhill section so we can talk about tucking. Okay, so we have just pulled out of the car park. We're actually right next to the RV still because this hill was actually very good for me to explain tucking. So if I was to just pedal down this hill, as you can see my speed, we're over 60, so there's no point in pedal boosting. If I just hold pedal and I go down this hill, when we hit this ramp, speed just flicks onto 92. Then we gain a little bit of speed, a little bit flat here, so we lose a bit, and then we gain a bit again. So we hit 88 kilometers an hour. But it was a little bit up and down with the speed. So if we go back up, what we're going to do is we're going to tuck this whole hill. So as soon as we hit 60 kilometers an hour, we are going to push in our right stick and we're going to hold it the whole way down. What this does is compress your rider into the bike and you gain the speed. So we're going to get up to 60 and you hear that sound effect and the camera ducks in behind your rider. And if you watch the speed now, so we hit 92 just on this, we now hit 99. When we land, we're going to tuck again, keep hold of it as you're going down. And you can see we don't drop below 90 whatsoever. In fact, we nearly get it back up to 100 like we did on that jump. So if ever you're on that downhill, you want to be tucking. Okay, so we are up here at Hellfair Hot Rod and I'm going to be explaining the difference tucking has when it comes to your corner speed. So if I was to just pedal down the hill, I can make this corner really easily by just left stick in, I've got to let go, right stick, and I'm around. I come into this berm at 83. If I was to go back up and tuck down the hill, I can gain a lot more speed. But watch what happens when I go full left stick around this first corner. So I'm going to turn now. Just about make it round, and then I can't actually turn right to make that second corner. Now obviously there's a lot of line choice. I can go start off a lot wider and I can cut in while I'm tucking and things like that. But it massively affects your turning circle. So what you need to think about, so I'll go into first person because this is how I always race. I'm going to tuck round this first corner, I'm going to take a wider line, and then I'm going to let off tuck to make the second corner. And then I'm going to hold tuck as I go around the berm. Now tucking doesn't work round the berms, but it's just habit for me where I tend to try and hold it as much as possible so that as soon as I land I can get back in that tuck. So long corners and straights, you want to be tucking. Tight short corners like this one right here, you're going to want to let off tuck and tap the brakes to be able to get the back end out, pull round. Okay, so we are coming into the first big right-hand berm, and then there is going to be a tight left-hand corner, which is the first time that we're going to need to use our brakes. Okay, so you have both the front and rear brakes in this game. However, 9 times out of 10, you're only going to need the rear one just to give it a little tap, kick the back end out, slow yourself down to make a corner. There are a couple of exceptions, mainly being Ridget Jones, where you've got the really tight rock section on a steep slope where you need to be on both brakes to slow yourself down in time. But like I say, 9 times out of 10, you just need the rear brake. So we're going to get up to speed by using this berm. We are going to tuck, and then I'm going to try and make this corner. So I'm going to turn, and you can tell I didn't even start turning really. I went straight on and I hit the fence. I was very fortunate it didn't kick me off the bike then, but if I was in race mode, that actually would have reset me back for being off track. So what we're going to do this time, we're going to do exactly the same. So we're going to tuck, but we're just going to give the rear brake a little tap as we start to turn, make it around the corner, and we can get back on the tuck. So just remember, if the corner's a little bit too tight, just give it that little dab of rear brake, just kick the back end out, and then once you straighten up, you can get back onto your tuck. So let's do it one more time. So we're still tucking, turn, little brake dab, round the corner, straight back into tucking. Okay, so you made it around that tight left, and we're going to have a couple more berms, and then we are going to hit our first big jump. Now, you're going to gain a lot of air. If you gain too much air and you land heavy, you're going to lose speed. So what you want to be doing is either squashing by pushing straight forward on your stick, or scrubbing, which is by pushing forward and then rotating left or right. So you go forward, left, forward, right. And what that will do is that will compress the bike in, keep you lower to the ground, meaning you'll get a smoother landing and maintain speed better. So let's see if we can show this off from our distance where we are now to the jump. So let's tuck. We're going to go around this berm here. Still tucking. And here's our first big jump. So we hit it at 90. We get a load of air. We land and the speed drops to 74. Now we're going to go back up and we are going to squash it this time, which is just by pushing forward. So we were at 74. Now there's going to be a little bit of variation because obviously I'm not able to do the exact same line every attempt. I may lose a bit of speed, so I'm going to push forward now. We stay lower. So 78 on that one. So we actually kept a little bit of speed. And this time we are going to scrub it. So that is by pushing forward and rotating it 90 degrees as we come off the jump. Remember, it's as you come off the jump, not afterwards. So we're going to go. I actually took that really tight. So up and left. Not as fast on that one, but because we landed earlier, we were able to get in the tuck earlier, so we will actually gain speed in the long run. So we're going to attempt that one more time with a scrub, because I think I kind of came into that slightly the wrong angle. I had a bit of a bad section up here, so we're going to tuck this. Let's see if we can do the same as what we did the other time. So up and right this time, keep it low. 76, but we're already tucking coming into the next corner. So always remember, if you've got a huge jump or you're going to gain too much air, make sure you either scrub or squash that lip of the jump, keep your bike low, maintain your speed. Okay, so we're set up just before that huge jump because just after it, we're going to come to a tight right berm. Now, if we're at full race pace and we have to just turn right, there's a very high chance we will overshoot and we'll ride out the top of the berm and we are going to crash. So let's see if we can gain enough speed to show you the benefits of leaning. So we're going to tuck the whole way down. We're going to turn right. And we went really high, but then it actually puts us kind of out of position for the next corner. We're going to do the same thing now, but what we're going to do is we are going to lean left or right as we go around the corner, simply by just pushing your right analog stick left or right. So let's try and gain the same speed. And this time, as soon as we get into the berm, we are going to push right on both sticks. So push right on both, keep it lower, and we can then actually get back on our racing line a lot faster. Now, there is one problem with doing this. If I was to ride down this hill and I was to turn right now, you can see I've got a very long turning circle, very wide. Now I can tighten that turn up by leaning, But the problem is, if you hold it for too long, you will actually start to slide out. So you'll see, if I turn now, if I lean, tighter turn, and then it actually slides out. So you can use it to tight turn, but use it in moderation. You go too far, you're going to slide out and you're going to lose speed. So it's always a little bit of a game trying to figure out just how much you can push it without losing that speed. Okay, so now we're entering the tree section where the leaning is going to come in very handy. So there is a tight right hand corner that we need to take to be able to get back on the racing line as fast as possible. So let's say I come into this corner here and I turn right. If I'm just turning, I end up through the trees. It's quite quick, but it's quite a wide line. So let's go back up, and this time we're going to lean for a split second as we're coming around that corner. Now be careful, because if your front wheel comes off the floor and you start to lean, it will think you're trying to squash or scrub and you will crash out. So you need to be very, very picky of when you use it. So let's go round, we're going to turn and we're going to lean. And you can see I can tighten that turn up and get back onto a tuck a lot quicker. So little areas like that are where leaning becomes a massive advantage. Okay, so we are back up at the top of Hellfire Hot Rod, and I'm going to go over a couple of little tips that can also help your race times. Now the first one is still to do with leaning, and that is to lean forward. In previous versions of the game, you were able to lean forward to gain a massive amount of speed and time in your race runs. That is still the case. Leaning forward still does gain you speed. It's not as strong as it used to be, so you're not going to be able to gain a massive amount, but it does still definitely help. So when I do my race run in a minute, I am going to be leaning forward as much as possible just to give myself that little bit of an edge in maintaining my speed. Now the other thing you can do is what we call pre-hopping. Now this is where you come up to a huge jump, and rather than riding all the way up to the top and squashing or tucking the jump to stay low, we're actually trying to bunny hop the jump altogether. Now what you do is as soon as you hit the ramp, you bunny hop, and what you're hoping to do is to effectively clear the lip of the ramp, stay really low to the ground, land right at the top of the down on the landing to basically maintain your speed and get back into that tuck position a lot faster. This can gain you a huge amount of time. However, it is very, very difficult to do it consistently. You may do 10, 15, 20, 30 runs where you're pre-hopping and you're being sent to the moon, because you'll bunny hop, you'll clip the lip of the ramp, and it will then send you vertical rather than forward. So be warned, yes, it does work, and yes, it's the fastest way to go over a lot of these jumps, but it is a lot harder to do in your race runs. So expect to be restarting and crashing out a lot more often if you are trying this technique. So I'm going to ride down Hot Rod now, and I'm going to ride straight over the jump to show you a long distance jump, a standard jump off of it. And I'm also going to do a pre-hop version. I'll cut to that and I will show you the difference it makes in your race runs. Okay, so before we get into the final section, which is going to be an example race run, I just want to say that pre-hopping took me around 5 or 6 attempts just to record the pre-hop. I wasn't riding the whole track. I was literally just coming into the jump and I kept getting it wrong. So like I said earlier, be warned, you may have to do a lot more restarts and a lot more resetting to get a rundown if you're planning on using pre-hop to get those faster times. So what we're going to be doing now is I'm going to be riding down this hill, not using any of the techniques, to see how fast we can be. And then we're going to do a full pace race run where I'm going to try and get as close to my current world record, which is on the board right now. We're going to try and get as close as possible so you can see the difference in using all of these techniques that I've just showed you. Okay, so let's drop in and let's do a standard race run with none of the techniques and just basically trying to get to the bottom. So we go around these first couple of corners. A little bit of leaning to make these. Now I will be doing a tiny bit, so I'm still going to be like tapping the brakes and things like that. But I'm not going to be using all the extra techniques like the pre-hopping and things like that.
2 seconds back, that can be Great line choice in this turn.
Okay, not too bad. So we still keep a little bit of speed. That's the thing. And I would normally be doing this in first person as well, because I only ever race in first person. This is purely for the video's sake. I might crash it. Nope, I kept it. So, I'm going to try and get around this corner without crashing.
This isn't what this rider wanted to see.
So all I've done is I've held pedal. I had to brake for one corner, but I've held pedal and I've gone off all the jumps on this last section without doing anything. And you can see.
Well, a disappointing run. It didn't look that clean from where I was sat. 5 seconds or more off.
So I did a 1 minute and 2 second on that run.
See this rider back at the top after
Now you may see a cut here, because there is no way I'm going to do this on my first attempt. This may take me half an hour to an hour. You know, you never know how long this will take me. I may be very lucky and do it first time. So if there's not a cut, then I've done something right.
Oh, the clock starts on the How Fair hot rod. Looks like a faultless line. Oh, this is looking good here. Fastest of this split. Leading. Oh, less than a second up. Can they keep this intensity? Oh, beautiful squash there. Carries. Well, a disappointing split from where I'm sitting. It could be down a bike setup. Lovely squash there. Less than a second, the winner's in touch. Look at this rider squashing down off these ramps. Oh, squashing hard off that one. Oh, they crossed the line, less than a second off. It's close to their personal.
Well, there we go. A 52.5 I almost took.
What a run that
I beat my world record then. That was huge. So you can see the difference of using all those techniques can make. Now, bear in mind, I know I said if there wasn't a cut, that I did it on the first attempt. I did make it to the bottom on the first attempt, but it was a really bad time. I clipped a tree, slowed right down, and all sorts of stuff. That was probably my 20th attempt. So it's taken me a little while to do, but I've done it. Normally, I could be doing hundreds and hundreds of runs to get there, but yeah, we made it. We made it. Okay, guys, so there you have it. With that full race run, we were 10 seconds faster. 10 seconds is a lot when it comes to a short track like this. So take on board all of these tips. Give it a go yourself. See how you get on. They will benefit you once you get used to it. But that brings us to our final little thing that I need to say. I have almost 350 hours in this game. People like Apex, who is the other co-founder of NSR, he has nearly 700 hours in this game at the moment. We have put in the absolute graft to get where we are. We have been pushing and pushing this game to its utter limit to get to where we are. So if you've just picked up this game on console release, which would have been last Thursday, if you're worried why you're not keeping up with us, just practice. That's all it's going to take. Keep running race runs. Keep crashing is actually something that I would say you need to do. Because for every time that you crash, look at it as, right, what did I do? Did I take that corner too tight? Did I take it too wide? Was I going too quick? Analyze all the little bits and pieces you do. We record our race runs when we do well, and then we sit there and we analyze it and go over, right, what bits can I make better to gain that extra bit of time? So yes, these tips are going to help you get quicker, but unless you put in the time and effort to learn it over and over again, be warned, there's been times that I have been on for maybe 3 hours and I have not finished a race once. That's what it's like sometimes. So you are going to crash. You are going to fail a lot if you are pushing at full pace. But just give it time, please, guys. That's probably the biggest tip is, yes, these tips that I've given you here are going to help. But time playing the game will gain you so much more. All right, guys? So with that said and done, please like, comment and subscribe. There's going to be a lot more videos coming soon for Mavrix. This is going to be pretty much the only content that is going on my channel. I also go live all the time, so if you hit that bell to get notified when I go live, Also in the game's Discord, I announce every single time I go live, so you can join in. I put my join code in. You can group up with all of us in game, and we'll go for big rides together. All right. So yeah, like I say, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will catch you all up this mountain very, very soon. Take it easy.